Hello, hello, Marcela McBride here, signing in today from my beautiful healing space. So excited to bring my dear friend here with me today, Erin Esser with Awakening the Divine Within. And Erin and I both walk the Priestess path, which is a path of self-awakening, soul purpose, standing fully in our self-responsibility in the world. All of those aspects I've been talking about lately with my video series. And this is also a prep video for a live webinar I'm leading tomorrow night, Thursday, January 25th at 8 o'clock EST. And I'm going to have Erin on and also Jessica McGrady, who's going to be joining us, both sharing a bit of their story of awakening, what this path has been for them. And so I wanted to have Erin on today to share some of her story, for us to just have a casual conversation about what does all these kind of like highfalutin spiritual concepts, what do they really mean? You know, what does it mean to be a priestess in these times? What does it mean to be of service with our divine purpose? So that's really what we're going to talk about today. And I'd like for Erin to introduce herself and share a bit about what she has going right now with her private practice, serving clients, doing coaching, leading women's retreats, and also doing really inspired podcast interviews as well. So welcome,
awesome.
welcome.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here. Absolutely. So where do you want me to start?
So Erin and I met a couple years ago now. I was just launching my 9-month immersion process, which is an initiatory path for women, to really take a good look at what's holding us back in our lives. Doing shadow work, getting up in the mountains of North Carolina and getting in the water and doing releasing ceremonies and being around the fire together as a group of women and really seeing each other, being heard in our wounding and really healing on a deep level. And so I just love to hear what you feel has shifted within your life since stepping onto the path.
Yeah. Well, first I'll start actually with, especially for those of you, if you're listening to this and going, what the heck is the Priestess path? And I mean, even just that name alone is a little daunting at times because we're so disconnected with the Priestess and really what that actually means and who she is. And I first want to say she is in every woman that is watching this and every woman who isn't as well. And I really look at it as a way for myself, as empowering myself to be of highest and greatest service to the world. And in order to do that, we've got to get rid of our shit and we have to like go through our layers and really take off all the masks that we put on in our life. We put on a lot of masks just to please people, to be a, especially, for moms out there, to be a good mom, to be a good wife, or a partner, to be, a good, if you're in the job force, to be a good employee, all of those things. And so when I first learned of Marcela's program, I didn't know her. I had just seen some things online that she was doing and I was really intrigued, but I didn't really understand it, but I was drawn to this. There was something in it that I was drawn to. So I would just, like, if you're drawn to this, like, even if there's a little resistance around it, it's normal, but just listen in and lean into it because there's something here for you. So I went to the first event that she had. It was at the Bag Lady, which is a shop that's here local to Charlotte. And I was nervous. I didn't know anybody. I was like, okay, like I'm going to really do this. I had to drive 45 minutes to get there. And I almost...
Obstacle number one that can often hold us back is time, distance, money, all that stuff.
I think it was like a Friday night or a Saturday night as well, too. So it would have been a good night to be like, oh, I don't want to do this. And at that time, I was living on Lake Norman, like literally like a cabin on the lake. So it would have been a great night. I think it was in May.
Probably,
maybe.
yeah.
So,
of 2016, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful weather, so excuse to stay home. But I didn't. There was something that just pulled me down to this group that Marcela was doing, and it was powerful, and there was just something that rang true. I honestly don't remember a word that she said, but I remember how I felt. And I mean, I really remember like there was something that I was like, I know I'm supposed to do this. I don't even know what it looks like, but I I'm supposed to do this somewhere in my bones, like in my soul.
Yeah.
And so I left there, and I was just really in my mind going through all this. And probably not even a month later, I emailed Marcella. I was like, I'm in. I remember the moment I did it because I was scared. I was so scared because, you know, it's a time commitment. It's 9 months. Also, it's a big financial commitment. And I knew it was going to force me to change and to shift. And a lot of times we don't want to shift. We don't want to shift because it's scary and we're comfortable where we're at. Even if we're miserable, we're comfortable where we're at. So anyway, since I said I'm in, like I'm going to do this, like I just knew there was a shift within me, and I can't really describe it. I can't really like put it to words, but I just knew that it was the right decision and that I'm supposed to be on this path. So, gosh, like it was an incredible journey, and I met so many amazing women. That was probably one of the highlights of it. It's just the tribe of women. A lot of times we have all these woundings around women, and that a group like that, right, of when you know you're going to go intimate into these deep places, it really is scary because we have trust issues with a lot of, you know, women, mother wounds, different things like that, that we carry into these. And so to really be in a group of women that knew we were all there for the same reason, and there was no judgment, and there was just, we were all just holding space for each other and really being there to support each other.
Yeah.
I tell you what, like was so, that was medicine, you know, right there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, through the process, I guess I just really learned more and how to really trust myself, really to listen to that inner voice within. There were things in my life that I knew I needed to shift, some major things and some not so major things. So going through all of the pillars, excuse me, and the 4 retreats that we had, 2 off center and then like 2-day retreats, just really allowed that to have the experience of putting all this to practice. And yeah, so I like fast forward 9 months, which was almost a year ago now, about 8 months ago. Since then, actually since last March, I knew what I wanted to do, like through this. I had inklings of it, but it really wasn't solidified, and I wasn't able to step out in the confidence. And this has really helped me do that. And so to really take those first steps and saying, I can do this. And so yeah, I've created a 9-month, which actually first it was 4 months, and I had to anyway, now it's 9-month program with a coaching program that I do with women. It's called Awaken Your Purpose, and it's really just allowing women to just love themselves again and to get to that place within themselves that they learn to trust. Not all of them are going to find that purpose, right? Because our purpose is going to shift over time. But if we don't learn how to unmask ourselves, we'll never get to that place anyway, to trust ourselves. So really that's what it is, because so I basically took what I've learned through all of this and so much more in my life, but this helped me kind of really wrap it up and put it into these ways that now I can help serve. Like I said in the beginning, really what a priestess means is, for me anyway, is being my best self that I can really serve the world at the highest level possible. So yeah, that's where I feel like I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's true too that, you know, the priestess archetype is, I see it as an embodiment of the sacred feminine principle, which is what a lot of this work is about, is healing the sacred feminine for all people. And being in a feminine body, you know, we have a history of so much wounding around the feminine, and it shows up in the way we hold ourselves and our sexuality, how sexuality is handled culturally, the amount of physical sexual abuse that so many young children moving into teenagehood and adulthood experience because of this wounding. So this work is really important because it sends ripples out into the world on every level, not just our sexuality, but that's core is our self-esteem, our self-confidence, what we feel we can do in the world, the way we can be of service, the way we can live our purpose more deeply. And it requires a level of healing all those masks, as you say, all those layers that we've built on with our societal conditioning, and that starts so early that, you know, it's so interesting because we often want to make change, but then we're afraid of the change at the same time. So it creates this push-pull within us, like I want that, but I don't want that. I want that, but I don't want to really have to work at it.
Yep.
So once we finally get past all that and finally say, yes, I'm committed to do this differently, and it unlocks something within us. And I really feel that that happens when I say, these priestess codes are awakening within women to be of service in a deeper way, and also awakening the night codes within men. Which is that opportunity to step it up, to take it to the next level, to do the personal growth work, to be of service again. And so, that component that you bring in about tribe is so necessary too. And I know that was such a huge piece after our first our first launch weekend with the program, for example. I mean, this will happen through the 9-week process I'm getting ready to teach too. We're meeting soul sisters that we've known before. It's, whether you believe in past lives or not, I do tend to believe in past lives because of so much information that's come to me over the years of doing this work, that those are reignited and they reawaken. And I believe those come with the wounding and the gifts that you hear me talk about a lot, two sides of the same coin. And we can't expect to just live in the light and the love all the time and expect to never have to face that stuff. And so this path teaches us the tools, I call them ancient wisdom for modern times, teaches us the tools necessary to live this life of purpose and awakening in a very powerful way. And we've both done a lot of personal growth work over the years and tried lots of different paths and diet approaches and mindset principles. And I would say from my own personal experience, over 20 years being in this personal growth industry now, that stepping onto the priestess path is the most powerful thing I ever did, because it did unlock something very powerful within me that's connected to my deeper purpose and my deeper gifts. And so when that stuff starts to awaken, and we started to talk recently too about all the diet changes we have to make when we start on this path too, because with that, and the first pillar that I teach is about treating our bodies as a temple. And so when we really start to welcome this information in of how to hold ourselves in the highest regard, therefore holding others in the highest regard as well, in everything that we do, word, deed, and action, we shift our diet. And as you were sharing earlier, we were just starting to prepare, that we open ourselves up for more knowledge, so that like the vessel is cleaned. And in the Native American perspective, they say the hollow bone starts to clear, to open up to receive divine guidance and to have our intuitive vessel be really strong. And so, and that's another piece that you feel you're bringing forth next. If you want to speak a little bit about that, and you're also in that place of it's forming now to bring out. And it's like, being able to be okay with being in that place is a place that the Buddhists speak of as bardo. It's this in-between space of what has been and what's becoming. That's the rich soil of the feminine principle. And so on this ever-evolving path, we come to this point multiple times. So again, these ancient tools start to teach us how to be in these places and still stay in self-love, stay in self-compassion, and be open to the curiosity of what's next.
Absolutely. Well, one thing I want to say too is that there's these 8 pillars of ancient wisdom that you're speaking of, and I know some people might get like, oh my gosh, I have to learn all this stuff. But what happens for me anyway is when you start to when you say yes, it's almost like intuitively you just start to understand these without having like the mind knowledge. You just start to embrace it on a soul level or spirit level without really even knowing what it is, or that it even has like a label to it or a term for it. You just kind of know it, because it's like you're stepping into that. Therefore now you will have the wisdom downloaded in you. And so that's the one thing, like so many things that I want to learn, I'm like, oh, I'm already kind of doing that. I guess it, didn't really, so it's trusting the process. I really feel like that is where we trust the process. Like there's only so much we can learn up here, but once we say yes to this path, and once we say, like, we will be supported in that with what we need to know for that path, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah, and it's like I had a mentor share years ago that we don't have to know what's in the trash to take it out. So in that same vein and context is, we don't have to linearly understand everything that's happening when we step into this work, because This is a path of magic and mystery.
Yeah,
that's absolutely. Why I call it a mystic priestess path. We're reawakening to the magic that lives in all things.
Yeah.
And this is regardless of whatever religious or spiritual perspective you may have. This is just the magic that exists in the natural world.
Yeah.
And, you know, the mystics really understand this deeply, and those that are drawn to this path. And so with that, we open ourselves up to be the divine vessel for the information to come through, but it's also unlocking within us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why I feel that once it lands, it just feels so right, even if we don't understand it.
Yeah. It's like the key in the lock.
Exactly. Exactly. And I know for me, in putting all this work together, it was all very much downloaded, and I was told, like, you're going to teach this now, and this is the principle that, and this is how you're going to integrate it, and this is the practice to lead them through.
Yeah.
So I just want that to be an inspiration to any of you that are feeling a call, that you know there's something within you that's wanting to be birthed. That's really wanting to come through. And what if this could be your year to really bring that through? Because that's what's needing to come through for the world in these times. And it even shifts and changes as you grow.
Yeah.
And this path, you know, is a perfect example of that, because we're taking this ancient wisdom that earth-based traditions, mystic peoples have known for thousands of years, and we're integrating into now. We live in a modern world.
Yeah.
And so what does it all mean now? What's going to be unique for each one of us that steps onto the path?
Absolutely.
Because each one of our gifts are unique, but they're also similar.
Yeah.
The women that are called to this work are heart-based, visionary, intuitive, have a heart of service, really want to be in service to the divine and support people in reawakening to the divine within, which is exactly what you're teaching.
Yeah,
because that's really it. You know, the mystic path is about we awaken to the God goddess within us. And it's not a force outside of us. It's within us.
Yeah.
And so once we really get that there is no separation, that's where all of a sudden things just start to lock in, and it starts to make sense, all the actions that we've taken in our lives up to this point, and what it can mean moving forward.
Yeah.
And so, I'm really inspired by what you called your business, Awakening the Divine Within, and also you have a retreat coming up in April. Would love to hear a little bit more about that. And Erin also has a podcast series where she interviews really inspiring people on the path of education and awareness of all things new and cool, with Marcela McBride, who I'm going to be talking to tomorrow. Share with us a little bit more about the retreat you have coming up in April too.
Yeah, so I have always wanted to lead retreats, and I know how transformative they can be. And so that's one thing that I'm going to be doing, and I have one coming up in April. I have 2 spots left for it. It's in the mountains in Colorado.
Maybe that's
next. In North Carolina, right outside of Boone, North Carolina, and it's in a big mountain home, and I have a personal chef. Nancy Campbell is her name, that is coming to cook. But this retreat, really, it's a weekend, and it's all about self-mastery, and it's all about, again, like what we were talking about, like these masks that we wear. And, you know, we have to dig into the shadow, the dark parts of ourselves in order to understand ourselves, number one, and to understand the relationships around us, number 2. And so we'll constantly be in turmoil, and in crazy relationships and in drama, all this stuff all the time, until we really take a look at ourselves and our shadow pieces and bring them to light and shine the light on them and understand how they can work within our lives and how we can bring awareness to them. There's so much more than that, but that's really, that's a big chunk of it. And I'm just really excited because it's going to be really powerful. It's going to be a powerful time. And I'm excited to share. It's only 6 women, so it's a really small, intimate, time, and just for transformation. So I love that. And our podcast that's just fun. Like, I love our podcast. Like,
so many inspiring people. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
like we've just had some amazing people, on, and I mean, we're booked out almost now till the end of March, with people that are, we're waiting to schedule. And so we've had people like Heather Ash, Amara from Warrior Goddess. We've had Leanna Shanti. We've had Jason Christoph. We've had Linda Backus here. we've had, I'm trying to think, my mind is blank, but we've had so many amazing people and just excited. And it ranges really, it's all about truth, about helping people find their own truth and to live it and to walk it out. And so when we're presented with a different opinion maybe or a different perspective, it allows us to challenge the beliefs that we're holding. And until we actually challenge those beliefs, we can't shift. We're always going to be there.
Yeah.
That's what stretches us. And so that's really what we want to bring. And so, I mean, we talk about medicine and how you can't medicate yourself to wellness. Dr. Christopher Nagy talks about that. It's amazing. Talked about the endocannabinoid system with Dr. Christine Wakefield, which is an amazing one. Just why it's time to commit to your authentic path now. That was Leanna Shanti. I mean, just so many amazing people and just wisdom to bring that we can offer you, offer people, offer the world to help wake people up and to help just allow for a different perspective so that people, so that you can shift and maybe do a little bit of your own work as well too and start to dig in a little bit. And plus, it's just fun. Like, I love doing it.
Yeah,
I love this stuff.
Conversations.
I love it. Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. So, and that's your sacred witness. That's what that's called. So,
cool.
Still trying to bridge how I'm going to do awaken your divine within and your sacred witness.
It'll
and
come together.
Do the two together. But but it's fun. I love it. And yeah,
awesome. So thank you so much for being with us today. I'd love to invite you to join us and a group of women tomorrow night. I'm doing a live webinar on 8 pillars of the Mystic Priestess Path. It's going to be an introduction and an offer to join me for a 9-week series I'm teaching starting next week on the blue moon of January 31st.
Wow.
We'll be starting our Sacred Circle 9-week process to really step into your deeper gifts this year, to work through your fear and resistance in a group of women that can really hold you in your highest possibility without judgment, and really welcome in a whole nother possibility, because it's not until we start to pull back those layers to really look at what's happening on the underbelly of our shadow consciousness that's holding us back, we're not going to move forward. And this is some of the most empowering work I can imagine doing in these times. And these are tools that you'll be able to take into your life and integrate on a really deep level. And it'll affect everything that you're doing, your relationships, your work, the way you treat your body, your self-confidence, and being of service to the world in a new way. And all this work is necessary to really step out in a new way in these times when we're needing to give from an overflowing vessel instead of a half-empty cup, because that's where a lot of us have been coming from for a long time, and overgiving, overdoing, overcommitting, no boundaries.
And then we're overwhelmed, and then we bitch about everything that we do, but then realize that we're doing it to ourselves because we just have this need to please all the time, which is like killing us. Really, it's killing us.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just want to say one thing about you, about Marcela. One of the things, I spoke to, like, just being able to trust myself and trust my own intuition. One of the things that's really helped me along the way is to honestly like to watch you when in ceremony and ritual and just in our gatherings, and just how, Marcela just does such a good job. And I shouldn't say good job, but I mean, she just tunes in so much to what, spirit, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. It's just a label, but like to whatever she's receiving, and allows that to go. And I love that. And what that just allows for is this expansion and of growth. So I just really wanted to speak to that, because that was huge, watching you and witnessing you like do that, and trusting, really just trusting the process and trusting the flow, because she would hold space for all of us women and be okay with switching it up and be like, yeah, no, we're not supposed to do that right now. We're supposed to go here. And she would do it. And so I love that. And that was huge. And I would just say being with someone that was so comfortable to do that allows other people in the room to, so the best thing you can do, honestly, if you really want to serve the world, is to like invest in yourself, to better yourself. Because if you can't, and if you won't, if you don't, you can't really serve in the capacity that you want to serve in. I mean, that's just
And even expect others to invest in your services if you're not willing to invest in yourself and do the work necessary.
Absolutely.
Because it's very possible to be an intuitive, psychic, medium, healer type, and not be doing your own personal work.
Yes.
And it affects your personal reality, and clients feel the difference when you're not keeping yourself in check. You're not really taking care of yourself.
It's huge.
And the new dawn of spirituality that's coming forth now, that's being required of us, is to really keep ourselves in check, to be doing our own spiritual work, because we become the vessel for the world.
Yeah.
We are creating the world in every moment. And so we're at this incredible opportunity of shifting the ship away from the massive iceberg when it comes to a collective global community. And so it's an incredible opportunity right now in these times to be doing this work. And thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate it. And
it was from the heart.
And it requires a level of trust in myself and my own divine connection to shift gears right in the middle of a process. And having my outline, what it really means to download and be a vessel is to have an outline for a retreat planned out and wake up that morning and be told to do something completely different that I'd never perhaps facilitated before nor participated in.
Yes. So
just let that be an example again. You may think these crazy ideas are coming through and you don't know what to do with them, and this idea to create this center or an organization or a business or write a book, but you're not sure what it's going to look like. Well, most of us don't, honestly. Even if you have a business plan and you do it the whole linear logical way, things are going to shift and change. And so again, these ancient tools help support us in the midst of the change, because we're in a global and an individual shift right now in a very big way, and we've really got to stand strong in our spiritual practice, utilizing the spiritual gifts that we have, sharing in community to awaken this stuff, because it can be overwhelming when you're an intuitive, empathic person to be in the world right now. And so just let that be an inspiration to whatever is pulling at your heartstrings to create this year. If this is resonating with you, please join us tomorrow night for the webinar. Check out my information, marcelamcbride.com. You go there to register for the webinar tomorrow night. You also read about the 9-month program on that page if you would like to. If you resonate with Erin and what she's bringing into the world, check her out, Erin Esser, Awakening the Divine Within, and also Your Sacred Witness is the podcast series. Hope you got some golden nuggets from today. Thank you for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And we'll be doing more for sure over the coming months. I very much look forward to it. Much love and blessings for now. Thanks for being with us.
Bye-bye.
And share if you have any questions.